How's it going, guys? Welcome to the channel. So today's plans, we're going to be removing the automatic J32 out of my CG6, and as well as prepping it out so we could paint out the engine bay and maybe tuck a couple lines, a couple actual wiring itself. So right now it has the automatic j32a1, the base model J32 automatic in my CG6. So as of now, we're going to be swapping in a six speed 05 Accord transmission, open diff, not LSD. Can't afford LSD, but for now it's gonna do. And we're gonna put a K-series style shifter box inside as well, so we'll see how all this goes. At first we gotta start pulling out the fluids, taking out the whole front, so all this, so it has room to take out the wiring and pull it out forward. So as of right now, I'm probably just gonna start pulling out the transmission fluid and get started from there. So first thing we're draining would be the automatic transmission fluid, which is just a normal 3/8 ratchet right here, just for the drain bolt. You just put it in whichever ratchet works. It all works. You just pull it out, start draining out the fluid. So see how much I spill. I have one of these, so didn't have a drain bolt, so just took this shit from work, cut it out, so hopefully it's all good, so I don't do too much of a mess. Oh, a little bit. Fuck it, it's part of it. It's pretty clean though, not too horrible. I'll just wait for this shit to drain all out and then start on the engine. So after the transmission fluid, I dropped the engine. You don't really have to drop the engine. The reason why I dropped the engine is because to pull this out, I take off the oil filter, and then when the engine's like sideways and stuff, the oil kind of leaks. So I kind of don't want to make a mess this time around. So I'm just gonna drain the oil. So yeah. Still probably gonna get filled up in this little ass thing. Fuck it, it's gonna work. It's probably gonna spill right now again like the transmission fluid, but fuck it, who cares? As long as it's not a lot. Oh, this time it went pretty good. I didn't even get dirty in my hands. I don't know, it was pretty dirty, low-key. Not gonna lie. I mean, not too bad. Looks dirty coming out though. Oh yeah, so after this, I gotta pull out the exhaust. So I'll just probably skip the exhaust part, pulling it out, just because I have a lot of random bolts for the downpipe. So after I take off the exhaust, then I'll get back. So I took off the downpipe. You take off the downpipe. And after you take off the downpipe, you want to take off this bracket right here that holds up the shifter cable. It's like 3 12s and then 2 10s up here. So first off, you take off those 2 10s so you can move this around and you can access those 12mm bolts. So once you access those 12mm bolts, you just remove them, and the shifter cable goes inside of here with a 10, and you just pull that out. And then you get that out, and then that's your shifter cables on the side. So after that, then you want to take off your torque converter bolts, which I started taking off. And then the reason why we didn't finish last night was because halfway taking this off, we started hearing a tow truck outside from my homie's car, and they started towing that shit. So afterwards, we just pretty much waited and just didn't work on the car. So as of now, I'm going to be taking off the torque converter bolts. So we got to take all those off, because it'll be easier taking it off right now, off like in the car, having disconnected. So when everything's at the car, I got to disconnect this transmission bolts, and it'll just slide out. So that's if you're going manual. If you're just pulling out the engine, you could just skip this part. But yeah, after this, I'm gonna take off all those bolts and then take off the radiator fluid, like the coolant. Take out all the coolant, all the lines, disconnect all the harness from the top. You don't gotta disconnect none of this. You disconnect the shock tower, so this shock tower up here, and then where the ECU goes, you just disconnect the ECU and pull it up. And then you can pull everything out with the harness and everything. So you should be all good. So I'll show you guys when I get to that. So first I'm going to take off these bolts for the torque converter though. Finish it up. So I finished up taking off all the torque converter bolts. So I just remember you gotta take off these transmission bolts as well, which is 14s. It's gonna be 4 of them on both of the transmission bolts. So you just take off those, and then as of the bottom, it should be all good right now. I'll probably gotta look under again and see what I remember, but as of right now, it'd just be these. So as of right now, I did pull up the radiator. All I had to do was take off these 2 hoses, which is this one and that one, and I pulled it out as a whole unit. If it is a J32, you could just pull it out straight like that, just with those 2 hoses, because the J32 is coolant ran on the transmission. If it's the stock J30, then you do got to take off the 2 transmission lines that do go into the I think there's a transcooler down here or something, or I think that's on the radiator. The transcooler's on the radiator, so you do got to take off those 2 lines on that one. But for the J32, it's coolant ran, so all you got to take off is those 2 lines. Then as well as I did take off these 2 heater hoses in the back. So the first one will go to that back one right there, and the second one just goes to the bypass, which is right there. That's the one I take off. So you just need to take those off, and you should be all set as for the coolant hoses. Afterwards, just gonna take off the power steering pump. You can take it off with the 12 right here, and then there's a 12 down here in the bottom, and it should come straight out. Just move it to the side for now, and then taking out the battery tray as well. And afterwards, I just gotta disconnect the harness over here, wrap it over there, and then the ECU part, wrap it over here, and it should almost be ready to pull out. I just need to take off the wheels and the axle nuts, take out the actual axle, but I gotta go to the store to get the axle nuts. So as of right now, I'm just trying to do whatever I can without the axles. The axle's gonna be the last thing before pulling. So battery tray is off. Also the shock tower is disconnected, so it's just dangling on the engine, so it's all good. Where the harness connects with the ECUs off, it goes over there. You just got to take off the fuse box, and it's under the fuse box. It's 2 10s. Remove it and then just pull it out. And just what I do is I just leave it hanging over the engine because I pull it out with the whole harness. So to pull it out, you just have these 2 tabs back here. It's already disconnected right now, but you pull that out, and then down there's 2 10s. Just take off those 10s and then you pull it out. Power steering is off as well. Next thing you just got to take off is your AC lines. If you do have AC, you just got to disconnect these 2. They're 2 10s, so I'm just gonna remove that, and then I might head to the store to go get that axle nut, because I think that's all I need now. Everything is disconnected. Front end is disconnected. Rear is disconnected. Oh, you gotta disconnect this fuel line as well. I think that's the 7/8, but that'll be like one of the last things. And then it's just out. It's that simple. So when you take off the axles, I like taking off the upper control arm. Usually you could do it just with the upper control arm taken off. You could do it with the lower or upper. I like doing the upper. It's just easier, and this one tends to mess up less. As well as I take off the tie rod. I've done it many times with the tie rod, without the tie rod. It's a little bit easier without the tie rod, like if you take it off, just because you can move this wherever you want without having to move the steering wheel. I already got the 36 mil socket. I already impacted them off, so I just gotta slide them out. So you just gotta pry them out from over here. So this one with the transmission side is pretty easy to pry out. That side over there, I usually tend to use a hammer. So I might show a clip of me doing it. I just don't have any spot to put the phone, but if I find the spot, I'll put it on and I'll show you guys. To pull out the axles, I just pretty much use the tool that you get from the spare. It has a pretty pointy side where you could just put it in and pry it, or you could just use a pry bar. And for the other side, for the passenger side, I tend to just use a hammer and an extension. So for the hammer and the extension, I just pretty much, what I do is I put the extension like right here, like the flat spot. I put it behind the head and I just hammer it out. So I might just show a clip right now of me doing that. And then for the other axle, I just grab this, I put it inside, and I just pry it. See, I already got it. And I just keep going, pry it, and it gets it all out. And I just gotta do the same thing over there. I just gotta hammer it out. Sometimes you can just hammer it out with the hammer itself. Oh, there you go. So that one's out. And then this one's almost out, so I just gotta pull it out. And then once I get these axles out, then I can just pull out the motor. Okay, so once the axles are pulled and everything is ready to pull out, so you just add the chain. Usually I add a bolt to the starter. And the J series has like a hook mount that has right here, so I usually just put a bolt with the chain on there. And as well as how I was talking about removing the oil filter housing, I do remove that as well, so it gives it a little bit more clearance. And then how you want to pick up these engines, especially with the automatic trans, you want to pick up this side more higher so the engine tilts sideways, so it clears the actual like frame of the car. So you kind of want it sideways. So as of right now, I'm just gonna lift it. And as well as you want to take out the motor mounts, I already did all that. So it's the 17 right here, the 14s, and then there's the 17 in the back and 17 up front. So all you gotta do is take them off. You can take them all off as of right now. The engine still holds in there, so all you gotta do is pick it up and pull it out. And just remember, you still had to take out those 14s from earlier on the trans, and then it should all come out. So as of right now, I'm just gonna probably lay the phone down and then just record me pulling. And just like that, it's out. And just like that, we can start prepping out, cleaning out the whole engine bay, and getting it ready for the manual swap. Finally, it's been some time. Always said I wanted to go manual, and actually this is actually the time. I always said I wanted to go J32, which I already did, but it was automatic. So now I'm actually want to go the J32 manual, how I originally wanted. Well, that about wraps up pulling out the J32 out of my CG6, so we could go manual and start prepping out for the coloring in the actual engine bay itself. I'm still thinking about a little bit of colors that I might go. I have like 3 in mind. You guys might just have to watch and see which one I end up choosing. Yeah, I just gotta start cleaning it out and get ready for the next video. It might be just sanding it, getting everything taken out, and we'll see from there.